Hello everyone. Welcome to Datri Academy. So I hope all the CA Inter students are eagerly waiting for their results, right? I know you all are in tense situation now. But don't worry friends, you all would get a very good result and all the best for your results, okay? Now, today we are going to have an important discussion in our class friends now. The important discussion is regarding the presentation tips for the students of CA Inter who are going to write CA Inter paper 2 law exams for May 2022. Okay. So, I would definitely please note down, please listen carefully, please note down whatever single tip I am sharing with you. These are very important so that if you implement them in the examination, you definitely get a good result with exemption mark. Okay. So, as you all know, the corporate and other laws is for total 100 marks paper. 60 marks is for your exclusively for Companies Act, and for other laws you have 40 marks. That is, it covers Indian Contract Act, Negotiable Instrument Act, and General Clauses Act, and interpretation of statutes. Okay, so these are the topics as we all know. Now, this particular question paper, how is it designed generally? So, as we see, our question paper consists of direct theoretical questions, practical questions that is in form of case laws, and third word categories like bits. Okay, we all can perform well in bits, right? Because bits is very easy to answer, very quick to answer, and once we are thorough with the entire concept and syllabus, I think you can score full marks in your bits. Now next come to the direct theoretical question and practical question. I would give some very important tips for first direct theoretical question, then we go for the practical questions or the practical case laws. When it comes to direct theoretical questions, friends, listen carefully. So, it might be asked either for 3 marks or for 4 marks or for 6 marks or sometimes for 2 marks also. Okay. Depend on the number of marks they have allotted for this particular question, you need to write the concept in your examination. For example, lifting of corporate wheel is an important concept in your initial, like the basics of the Companies Act, first chapter. In that particular concept, suppose if it is asked for 3 marks, then you need not elaborately explain with all the statutory provision and with all the judicial case law. It is sufficient enough for you to write the concept, what is meant by lifting of corporate wheel, with one judicial case or with one statutory provision according to the mark given to you and whatever time you are left with. Okay. Otherwise, if they have given the same question for 8 marks, then you should elaborate it with giving nice case law examples of 3 to 4 examples in statutory provisions or 3 to 4 examples in your judicial interpretations. Okay. So, it all depends on how speed and how thorough you are with this particular question. So, first of all, I insist all the students to practice writing. Generally, a student's tendency, what it will be is, they would definitely read the, for exam, the theoretical paper, they would read and they would be thorough. They say, ma'am, we are very thorough with the particular paper. But when it comes to writing, they would feel lots of difficulties, they would unable to write within time. So, whatever I say, one way important tip is, from now, who are going to write for the next, this coming May 2022 exam, from now every day, take 1 or 2 questions, set some time, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and practice writing. Writing is very important, not just for your law theory paper, for auditing, for ITSM, and whatever theory paper you are having for your exam. So, please practice writing for 5 to 10 minutes, and it would definitely give you the good result in your examination. You don't know, automatically you will be trained in such a way that in your examination you would write with lots of ease, and your pen would also move and it would try to cooperate. And one another very important tip, friends, this is I used to give for my students for the last 10 to 13 years. These tips I am giving the to students, and they are implementing, and they are gaining more than 60s in this particular paper. The pen which you are using, try to use a similar pen which you use for the practice, the same kind of brand or the same kind of pen if you use even for your exams. The grip of holding will help you to write fast, to move your hand with ease. See, for example, you all know that you play if some students would like to play cricket. So, if it's sufficient that you watch the cricket in front of TV, it gives you happiness, or you practice cricket. If you practice cricket only, you can perform well in your the game. So, in the same way, if you practice writing, you will perform well in your exam. So that theoretical question, please try to write point wise. Okay, don't try to write as many as paragraphs. Okay, paragraphs sometimes it gives an impression. It won't give a good impression of writing in your exam, because then it looks very bulky, and it is not easy to read. But if you write in point wise, no, if you write this particular theoretical questions in point wise, it will be easy to read, and the keywords in that particular concept you make an underline those keywords, so it would be easy for the valuer. Okay, fine, the student knows the concept, so he's trying to use all this technical legal terminology well, so it would give that particular impression to the valuer. So the first important thing is practice your writing. Okay friends, are you listening carefully? The first important tip is practice writing daily for 5 to 10 minutes. Please practice writing. Second important tip is try to write point wise. All these theoretical questions, write point wise. Third important tip is try to underline the keywords. Okay, so suppose if the particular question is asked for 6 marks, then you divide those points into 3 categories. What are those 3 categories? Number 1, first try to write some introduction. Okay, next explain detailed analysis or explanation mode, you write the next part, and finally you write the ending for that particular answer. Okay, so in the 3 category type you can divide your points if it is asked for 6 marks or 8 marks. In this way you should always think of how well you write and how well you would present would impress the valuer, so that you can get a good score in your examination. Okay, this is all about a direct theoretical question. Now next come with the practical questions. That's nothing but case law type questions. Okay, then everybody will be confused, ma'am, if how we write. Generally if we write, we don't know whether the answer is right or wrong, but sometimes if we write the concept well, and if we could not conclude properly, do they strike off the entire question or answer, or they would give us a lot 0 marks? No friends, no, nothing like that. Listen carefully. In CA they will not just see the conclusion, they will see the pattern, how you approach, how you have given that concept in that particular case law. So for that I'll explain how to write this particular practical questions. So generally practical question, first initially I will tell you to divide into 4 parts. Number 1 is facts of the case. Okay, number 2 is the provision relating to that particular case, number 3 is the analysis, and number 4 is conclusion. Okay, in that 4 category type, if you present that particular practical case, definitely you would give your explanation in the analysis, you would quote the provision, and whether his conclusion is right or wrong, but since you have written this provision and the analysis right, at least you would score 60 to 70% marks in that particular practical case. So your evaluation will not be completely judged on what conclusion you are writing. It will be in such a way that whether this particular student have understood the concept well, whether he have given the right provision or not, that particular thing is very, very important, friends. Okay, so I would give this practical case laws in detailed explanation in coming my future classes, friends. So from March 1st I am planning my online classes as well as physical classes. So I would give you all the details in my YouTube channel, and then there in that particular classes I would in detail explain how to write these particular case laws and how to get a good score. Okay, so these 3 aspects are very important: how to write a direct theoretical question, how to write a practical question, and how to write the bits. And one more question the students might ask is, ma'am, in case of practical questions we are not left with much time. If the practical question is asked for 2 or 3 marks, if we write facts of the case, if we write a provision, analysis and conclusion, it would take much time. No ma'am, in such cases what we have to do? In such cases I'll tell you, friends, just write the provision and conclusion, or provision, analysis and conclusion. You may write facts or you may not write facts. So they will ask one more doubt. What are facts? Facts is nothing but you are converting the question or given information into a simpler words. Okay, so the given information you are writing in a you are precise, you are writing in a brief manner, is nothing but the facts of the case. You are once again introducing them in that particular answer. Okay, so in such way, if you plan to write your practical questions, if you are given for 6 marks, or they ask you for present for 4 marks or 5 marks, then write detailed explanation. Otherwise it is sufficient you write provision, analysis and conclusion. Otherwise if you are left with much time, you can write facts of the case, provision, analysis and conclusion. These are the few important tips for you to give a best presentation in your law paper. And one more very important thing I want to say is, when you are writing, if you want to strike off something, if you are not sure with that point, or if you write by mistake, just simply strike it off. Don't try to give those designs on that particular striking also, and make that paper look a little bit awkward. Okay friends, so please behave in a very professional way. Try to write the exam. So if you generally, it's a tendency of a human being to make mistakes, but try to strike it off properly. And another important aspect, the students ask, ma'am, regarding section numbers, do we have to remember all the section numbers and we have to write in the examination? Sometimes if you forget, then what to do, ma'am? So don't get scared, don't get confused. If you are damn sure, if you are accurate at the section number, give that accurate section number. Don't write approximately, I think it would be 77 or 78. Okay, don't give that confused feeling to those section numbers and write the wrong answers. If you know accurately, present it accurately. Otherwise, don't mind, you won't lose marks for for whether you give the question number, section numbers or not. Your concept presentation is very important. I am telling you from day one, it's all theory papers are based on concepts. We are writing a professional exam. It's not any school or college school exam. Okay, so to by heart that particular theoretical question and write in the examination. So concepts. Ma'am, one more thing, another a question a student might ask like this, ma'am, if that particular theory question is very lengthy, we are unable to remember, we are unable to study. I will give you a very important tip even for this particular lengthy answers or lengthy questions to how to remember. Divide them into parts. Okay, so one lengthy question, if it is there, you divide them into 3 parts or 4 parts, and first try to read that particular part and try to visualize some pictures relating to that particular concept, or know some key points in that particular answer, and try to remember those key points, and accordingly you frame that particular paragraph or particular points or particular sentences relating to that particular question. Okay, so these all are very important tips you have to remember, put them in practice and implement in exams. Then you will find the very good result in your exams. These all are things which you have to be ready before you write your exam, friends. Okay, so in my classes, I would guide you, I would train you in a better way to present well and secure more marks. So what is the difference, ma'am? We are getting in 40s, and what are the techniques which we need to learn to get more than 60? These are the few techniques. If you implement in your examination, you can definitely score exemption mark in your law paper. So hope my video is very helpful to you all, friends. So stay tuned, subscribe the Datri Academy channel and be in touch so that you would get much more many important videos which would helpful to you in your examination. All the best. Thank you so much. Namaste.